Right, okay, we are a minute or so early, but I think if it's possible, we could take the tribute to Mary Compton now. After the film, I will be asking colleagues to stand for a minute to remember Mary. So we can hear it, watch. Oh, sorry, I didn't realise. Kevin is going to say something first, sorry.
Conference that there isn't a film, there are some slides that we're going to show, some images that have been collected by staff around Mary's life. We don't always do this, but Mary's life mattered so much to so many in the hall, we thought it was right to take some time at conference. So we want to say that Mary Compton was an inspirational sister who has been taken from us far too early. She was a great friend to many delegates in the hall. You will have heard the tribute that Angela Jardine paid to her in seconding the Wales section of the annual report earlier in the week. You may have seen the tribute to Mary in today's Guardian. Mary was active at all levels of our union. She taught at John Beddoes for 30 years. She was school rep there for most of that time, but she took on many other roles in our union. So she was association secretary in Radnor for 30 years. She was a member of the National Executive representing Wales. She was president of our union, representing us across the UK and internationally. And at the time of her passing, she was a trustee of the union, a role to which she paid significant attention. And in all of the roles, at all levels in the union, Mary's passion and commitment shone through. Her imagination was always present. Her determination could not be missed. As a school rep, she campaigned against cuts on education at her school. As association secretary, as recently as 2016, she led Radnor in a strike against cuts and school closures. As president, she used her year to make and build up contacts worldwide with progressive thinkers and other teacher unions. She contributed to journals such as Rethinking Schools. If you haven't seen that, it's an American journal, very much from the sort of perspectives that the NUT has. I'd urge you to look at it. She made contacts and she worked to understand what was happening to teachers. And with Dr. Lois Viner, she worked on a book that is called The Global Assault on Teaching on Teachers and Their Unions. But I think that for Mary, the key point about that book was the subtitle, that it was stories for resistance that she was talking about in that book. I think the book demonstrates two key aspects of Mary's thinking and character. Firstly, think big. Set the day-to-day difficulties you see in a context. For us in education, set them in the world context, the context of the global education reform movement and the international drive towards privatisation. Secondly, don't be deterred. Don't think there is nothing you can do. So Mary, when she used that the year when she was president, she made many international contacts. She used those contacts. She used those contacts with other thinkers, with other unions, in order to develop that Teacher Solidarity website. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's going to be maintained. It's going to survive Mary's passing as a network of contributors across the world who are determined to make the work that she was doing on that website carry on. And it does carry stories of inspiration of teachers fighting back worldwide. One of Mary's proudest moments was in 2003, when speaking for our great union, she spoke to the biggest demonstration that had ever happened in our country, speaking to the million-strong demonstration against the illegal war in Iraq. The speech that she made that day received thunderous applause from the crowd that was there. She started it by saying, I am speaking as a teacher. I extend my solidarity to the teachers of Iraq and the children of Iraq. Like I say, received thunderously. And that contribution had such an impact that it was taken and put in an anthology. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Mary has said to many people since that privilege of speaking for our union and being able to speak to that crowd was one of the proudest moments of her life. And in recognition of all of the international work that Mary did, in 2016, her very great friend, Christine Blower, presented her with the Steve Sinnott Award here at conference. Now, I was really pleased to be able to represent the union at the memorial service for Mary that happened just a few weeks ago. Many other union members were there as well, from her school, people who'd never been to an association meeting, but people identifying themselves with Mary and identifying themselves as NUT members, from her association, from the nation of Wales, and from the rest of the NUT. There were a great number of people there. And they were celebrating Mary's role as a teacher and a trades unionist. But in the community of Prestine, I was surprised, I shouldn't have been, by the love that the community also showed to her. Mary, as well as everything that I knew she was doing, wrote the annual pantomime for the last 17 years. She was really loved in that community. Students come back from university, they rush back for this community pantomime. Mary was seen as a leader by an entire community and loved by that entire community. She was seen as someone who loved music, who wrote songs, as well as being a teacher, trades unionist. Conference, Ian Murch, one of Mary's best friends, spoke for us at that memorial service and wrote the obituary that appeared in The Guardian. One of the points that Ian made so strongly, which represented Mary's determination to act, was that Mary, faced with a difficulty, would not be bowed, but would say, well, that's all very well, but what are we going to do about it? So, conference, Mary was taken from us far too early. She was taken from her family far too early. We offer them our sincere condolences, in particular to Helen, Mary's daughter, following Mary as a teacher who has spoken from this podium at our conferences in the past. Our sincere condolences to her entire family and to Helen in particular. We salute Mary's contribution to teaching and to teacher trades unionism. And I think we're going to have a moment of silence, but I think we should start with a moment of applause for Mary Compton, our dear sister. Thank you, conference.